If you've been around this channel before, you've probably figured out that I like model trains. I don't talk about it too often on this channel. I mainly stick to real trains, but I do have a passion for model railroading, and I have a model railroad and a collection of my own. Of course, model trains are the miniature version of the real thing, and real trains tend to not go around in circles very often. Real trains tend to go long distances, moving freight from customer to customer across the country. However, mainline railroading isn't the only part of the industry. Switching, local operations, and yard sorting are just as important and just as interesting. Switching out customers, making pickups and setouts, and sorting the yard can be a whole lot of fun. Many larger model railroads, especially those you might see at your local train club, are designed with this kind of operation in mind. Not only do these layouts have miniature tracks and engines, but they have miniature customers and waybills. It makes the operating experience a whole lot more realistic. But you don't need a large club-sized model railroad to make this happen. Here's a way you can do it at your own home layout, even on a setup as small as a 4x8. All you need is a couple of switches, a couple freight cars, and some things you probably already have lying around at home. Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I'm going to show you how I run my home model railroad for the most prototypical operations that I can muster. Before we go any further, let's talk about my model railroad specifically. My HO scale layout is a 4x8 sheet of plywood. It consists of two main lines and two major areas. On one end is a large town scene, and on the other end is my large rail yard scene. Each one of these serves its own purpose, and each one of these is important, but we'll be focusing mainly on the freight yard for today's discussion. The main stage for any operating session is here, at the switching yard on my layout. The switching yard has 7 tracks and can hold multiple different customers and businesses. Tracks 1 and 2 are used for locomotive maintenance and storage. Forgive my poor scenery, but there will be a shed or a diesel fuel depot here one day. Track 1 can be used to hold non-revenue cars like this diesel fuel tanker or this caboose, and Track 2 is usually used to hold motive power. Beginning the main part of the yard, Track 3 is home to our first main customer, American Materials, which ships out cars of sand. Track 4 can serve either as railcar storage and as general switching like another yard track, or it can serve as a customer track, as it does during an op session. In the back is the Echelon Coal Company, and in the front is Turner Transload. They receive loaded coal hoppers and tank cars respectively. These are unloaded and sent into businesses in town. Track 5 is the only line in the yard that does not service a specific customer. This is the access to the switchback. Any railcar customers here would block access there, so it's important to keep this line clear. Track 6 is accessed via the switchback and is home to 2 customers. Again, forgive my poor scenery, but at the back is Carter Furniture, which receives shipments of boxcars full of parts, and at the front is Morton Produce, which receives shipments of refrigerated boxcars. Track 7 is technically the back part of the switchback. It's home to Arnold's Tractor Supply Company, which receives daily shipments of 50-foot boxcars. It's also home to the City of Echelon Lakes Team Track. Cars are brought here with freight bound for local businesses. Each rail car currently in the yard is identified with a waybill card. This tells me what the car is, where it's going, where it came from, and whether it's loaded or empty. We're going to use this refrigerated boxcar as our example. For each car, I have drawn up a simple waybill card, which looks a little something like this. On one side, it has where the car is coming from, and this is for when it's sent into the yard, and then this is for what it looks like when it's sent out of the yard. It tells you what the car is, what it's hauling, where it's coming from, and where it's going to go. Here's a closer look at the waybill and its details. This is the arrival side, showcasing the rail car, its number, what kind of car it is, in this case a reefer. It shows where it's coming into, Echelon Lake, the name of the layout, the receiver, the company who's bringing it in, this is Morton Produce, the shipper who sent it out, Pacific Northwest Fruit Company, and what it's carrying, apples. We'll flip around to the other side, and this is what the empty car order looks like. It's going out to Everett, Washington, back to the Pacific Northwest Fruit Company, and it's empty, so it contains empty. Of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. Not every train car comes in loaded and leaves empty. For example, this Peoria and Eastern boxcar is servicing Carter Furniture. It's one of two 40-footers they receive. Looking at our waybill card here, we can see it comes in loaded with fasteners. And on the back side, we can see it leaves loaded with furniture bound for another destination. This is one of two exceptions to the come in loaded, leave empty rule on the layout. Here's the other exception. Cars coming into American Materials arrive empty. This Northern Pacific hopper is labeled as empty when it arrives, and when it departs, you can see it contains sand. So not everything has to follow the same set of rules. These waybill cards are ridiculously easy to make, and I have one established for every rail car I use in a typical operating session. These waybill cards start their life as simple pieces of index cards. You probably have some of these lying around at home, and if you don't, they're about $1 at the dollar store for a pack of around 50. First thing I do is I cut these in half. That gives me 2 cards I can use. Each card is split into 2 sides. The lined side I have set aside for my arrival side. When the car comes in, this is what it'll be set to. When it leaves, this is what it will be set to. The blank side, which has departure card. Here are all the cards I have lined up for the rail cars within the yard. All these are set to the blank side, so these are set to be departing. We'll pick these up when we begin our operating session. Since all the spots in the yard are filled, we'll be filling out pickups for all industries. Of course, not every industry is made equal, and some receive daily shipments while others receive as needed shipments. To determine whether an industry is receiving a shipment during this operating session, we'll be using one of these. A dice. You probably have one of these at home in a drawer, or you can steal one from a board game if you need to. And again, if you don't have one, they're pretty cheap. Alright, now let's begin the assembly of our inbound train. We'll start with the train cars that receive daily shipments. Starting off, a 50-foot boxcar for Arnold Tractor Supply, a loaded coal hopper for Echelon Coal Distributors, an empty frac sand hopper, this one going for American Materials, and last but not least, 2 loaded boxcars bound for Carter Furniture. Now we'll roll our dice to see whether or not our other shippers will be receiving freight today. First, we'll start with Turner Transload, which receives deliveries 50% of the time. If we roll a 1, 2, or 3 on our dice, that means we will have a delivery for the shipment company. Well, we rolled a 1. Looks like Turner will be receiving a tank car today. Our last 2 industries are the Team Track and Morton Produce. Both of them have a 33% chance of receiving freight. We're going to roll the dice. If we roll a 1 or 2, we're going to service Morton. If we roll a 3 or 4, we're going to service the Team Track. Looks like we rolled a 2, so we are going to have a delivery for Morton today. We're going to roll it once more too. If we get a 3 or 4, we're going to service the Team Track. We got a 5. So no Team Track service today. But let's go add the other cars onto our train. Here we are, back at our inbound train, and let's add 1 tanker for Turner Transload and 1 refrigerated boxcar for Morton Produce. Now we have our outbound train assembled, and I put all the cards in my hand that we'll need for this train. When we assemble this train, we want to make sure all our cards are in the correct order. So you can see the reefers first, then a tank car, then our 2 boxes, and so on and so forth. I'll also scramble around this train so all the cars aren't bunched together that are going to the same places. It adds a little more excitement to the whole switching maneuver. So let's get a locomotive on this train and we'll get it moving. Alright, I've done a quick scramble of our train consists just so it's a little more varied. And now we'll back down our locomotive onto the train and we'll take our train and begin our operating session. Kind of a hard hit, but alright. Let's get this show on the road, everybody. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Let's start by moving in the mainline train on the track 2. We won't be able to do anything with him yet. We'll focus on the switcher first. Let's boot her up to life and get her moving and out of the way. We'll get her out of the way and place her onto track 5. Pardon my big fat fingers, I don't have automatic switches on my layout just yet.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Next, we'll carefully and slowly back up our mainline inbound train off of track 2 onto track 1, which interlocks with the yard tracks. I like to start this process by clearing out the yard so the inbound cars have somewhere to go. Let's start with the cars on track 7, or the back part of the switchback. That's our pickup from Arnold done. Now let's get the box car on the team track too. We're going to use the other engine that came in on the road train to play a little game of pass the parcel of sorts. Our road switcher is going to head up onto track 5 with one of these cars, and then the switcher will back up and drop it off for the road engine to pick up. Then send the old 2012 back down the switchback to collect that other boxcar. We'll use a similar technique to get the other cars off track 6. Instead of coupling up on the rear end of our engine, we'll couple up on the front end and then pass them off on track 5 to the road engine. With all the switching done on the switchback, we're going to leave the switcher parked on the siding and use it to put cars back on later. Next, we'll pop over to tracks 3 and 4 to pick up the cars out of these customers. This is a simple in and out maneuver and shouldn't take too long. No train is complete without its caboose. We'll pick up this one off track 1 to be used on the outbound. After a quick check to make sure our cards are straight, we'll park the outbound train on track 1 where the inbound train is sitting too. We end up pulling the entire consist, both the outbound directly behind the engine and the inbound directly behind the outbound, past the yard lead switch. We'll then back the entire consist up into the yard. To get our inbound cars out of the way, we're just going to shove them into wherever they fit in the yard for right now, and we'll get the outbound ready on track 1. Now we'll head back into the main yard to sort out our inbound train. We'll start by collecting all the cars again, and then putting them where they need to go. We'll start by putting the caboose from the inbound train where we picked up the one for the outbound on track 1. Next, we'll pull the entire consist out again, and we're going to have to do a little bit of finagling and a little bit of sorting to get things in the right order to put it away. We finally make our first delivery, the loaded hopper for the coal company. We'll repeat this process for the other cars bound for tracks 3 and 4. First, the frac sand hopper for American Materials, and then the tank car for Turner Transload. The rest of these boxcars are all bound for the switchback and all have to be put in a certain way. To do this, we'll have to sort and shuffle the cars a little bit just to make them all fit. Take the two 40-foot boxcars bound for Carter Furniture and leave them on track 5. We'll then begin the switching process in reverse from earlier. We'll use our road engine to grab the two cars bound for the switchback that still have yet to be delivered, and take care of them one by one. For the final maneuver, we'll have to move the switcher onto track 5 first, then back down the road engine with the boxcar onto track 5. They'll hand over the boxcar to the switcher, and then the final move will be done. Finally, with the last of our cars delivered, we can take the last of our waybill cards, flip them around to the other side, and set them aside. We won't be needing these until the next operating session. They're set, ready for pickup. With our ops session finally complete, our switcher can earn a nice rest on track 2 at the engine shop, and the road engine can go back out on the main line with the outbound train. So what was the whole point of this video? Well, hopefully I showed you guys how you don't need a large model railroad or a lot of money to make realistic operations in HO scale. And you can do this with just about any type of train. You can do it with your old Tycos or your modern state-of-the-art brass locomotives. I should also mention that this is just how I run my railroad. You can do it however you want. You can add details, subtract details, make it your own. Maybe you use one switcher instead of two. Or maybe you add a passenger train to your schedule that you have to work around. The possibilities are endless. This is just a way to make model railroading a little more fun. Anyways, that's all I've got for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and maybe subscribe for more model train or real train content. See you all in the next one. Take care.